You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.
Welcome to the Rock Your Life podcast. Discover the tools you need to fulfill the highest, truest expression of yourself. From family and wellness to business and goals, it's time to dream out loud. It's time to rock it.
This stuff will rock your world. Rock!
And now your host, Chasta.
Welcome to the Rock Your Life podcast. I am Chasta, along with one of my dear friends, Dayna Keyes. Welcome to the podcast, my love.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm happy to be here.
You know, you may have noticed, you're kind of my go-to girl to talk to about like when shit gets real. I'm like, I will Dayna.
About the ish. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. That's me.
It's so true. You know, you're one of those people in my life that I can just like slip so fast into like a really important conversation, and that's a compliment. So I hope that you take it that way. Like when
I do,
you know, when things get deep and real, and when I feel like I just need to like work out some stuff, you're just a really good person to bounce things off of, because you're always honest. You're honest with yourself. You're honest with your people, as in your listeners. You're honest with me as a friend, and I just really appreciate you in so many ways. And I miss the crap out of you as well, on a side note. So everyone, if you don't know Dayna, which I doubt, but if you don't know Dayna Keyes is an amazing human being. She works in Bay Area radio and has for a hot minute. How many years? Like, what are we going back here?
18. I think we're like pretty much the same.
You and I, we were birthed into radio at the same time. Is that what we're saying?
Totally.
And then also she has an amazing podcast called Radio Rehab. Dayna has literally been doing all the things with me. She's come on Sound Waves about a year and a half or 2 years ago to really dive in and talk about your addiction process and your recovery process and everything that has been for you, really your whole story. And God, what an amazing story it is. And I'm not going to drag you through it all over again today, because I don't want to do that to you. But you've had an incredible life. You have truly pulled yourself up by your own bootstraps, with the help of others, obviously, but you've done so much of it on your own. And then recently, I had you on Soundwaves Christmas because we wanted to talk about heading into the holidays and how the holidays can sort of drum up, in a good year, the holidays can sort of drum up depression or anxiety or stress for, you know, lots of people for many reasons. And this year, it's of course a million times worse because it's 2020. So we got to have this very brief conversation on Soundwaves Christmas, and I just felt like there was so much more to say. And so that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast. So with all that being said, thank you for taking the time with me today.
Oh, no, I think it's awesome. It's an excellent idea because there is a lot of depression happening right now. There's a lot of people falling out of their recovery programs. You know, I mean, I was just telling somebody there was a meme that said AA meetings in 2021, and it was a picture of like Woodstock. Like that's how many people are probably going to be in recovery, because that's how many people have probably gone off the deep end this year.
I'm sure of it. I mean, you know, I think a lot of people sort of have joked this year, including myself at some point. I'm sure I've joked about, you know, drinking to get through all of this, because we've all been trying to find ways to cope with this year. But on a way more serious, worst case scenario note, you know, I know somebody this week who fell out of recovery and died. And
I'm so sorry.
You know, and it wasn't somebody I'm close with. It was a friend of a friend, but I did know them. And I mean, God, like heartbreaking, you know, for them, their family, their friends, and headed into the holidays, like for everyone they've ever known. Now the holidays will always remind those people of this person. You know, there's that domino effect. And I know that that's a thing. That's a thing right now because of what's going on. So I just thought that, you know what, you and I can talk through a really interesting list that I found, because as I was telling you before I hit record, I found this to be a very, very heavy and important topic. I don't suffer from depression. I do have anxiety, and I would call that severe anxiety from time to time. So I deal with anxiety, but I don't deal with depression. But those are things that I really want to treat with the utmost respect. So I found an article on the Mayo Clinic's website, mayoclinic.org. And it's 10 tips to prevent holiday stress and depression. And as I was reading through these, you and I, even though we only spoke on Soundwaves Christmas for like 5 or 6 minutes, we actually hit quite a few of these.
The exercise part in there?
Yes, it is.
Oh, good.
And boundaries. Yeah, so there's some good stuff in here. So I figure we'll just jump right in with acknowledge your feelings. Number one, just sort of acknowledging, embracing the S show that it is right now, and all of the feelings that are coming from it. How are you feeling on a personal level heading into the holidays right now?
Well, it's funny. I'm kind of just trying to ignore them. I'm just not going to acknowledge that they're the holidays, because in my experience, expectations lead to resentments.
Ooh.
Like if I'm like, at least something better happen, and I better at least get this, same with birthday, with anything, then you're just always going to be let down. So it's like, it's COVID. I can't go back to the South. I can't see my family. I can't go to Sonoma and see my mom. It's just going to be another day, and we're just going to make the best of it and just eat some good food. Because it's like,
that is I mean, we could literally turn off our mics and be done. That one sentence right there is so important. I mean, seriously, I always take that sentence whenever it comes to Valentine's Day, because I think Valentine's Day is a sham because of exactly what you just said.
Totally.
Like
Hallmark holiday to bum single people out.
Oh my God, totally. To bum single people out and to really screw up any relationship out there, because everybody does what you just said. They put their ideas up on this pedestal. Like, even if they tell themselves like, oh, just, a card or an acknowledgement will be fine. They're full of BS. And then at the end of the day, if nothing happens, then they're heartbroken. Yeah. And you're right. You're right about the holidays. That's, I'm sure, how people are going to feel. And I'll tell you, you just said you can't go to the South. I can't go back home either. You're from Louisiana. I'm from Oklahoma. So we both have that part of the world in common. And there's a lot of things that we understand about one another that a lot of people wouldn't be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And bless their hearts for not understanding.
Bless their hearts. They don't get it. But, this is the first time in 39 years that I won't be going back home. I'm sure it's the first time for you that you haven't been with family of some sort.
Yeah, well, we didn't go back over the holidays last year. Grammy was in the hospital, and Grammy ended up passing away in March. It was either March 1st or the last, I forget. But either way, she passed away, and that was like the matriarch of our family. And my aunt is like a little Christmas elf, and she loves the holidays. So we were all planning to go back there to support her and to be there and show that we're still a family and we'll always be a family. And then COVID happened. So it's like, it's going to be, I feel worse for some members of my family, because it's probably going to be even harder.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think everybody, if you're doing it right, I guess you should be in this situation, right? Because they don't want you to travel. They don't want you to be with family. Right. I know of a family who were together at Thanksgiving, and all 19 of them got COVID. Now,
Except for the 19 of them. But yeah, everybody I know who got together at Thanksgiving got the Rona.
And my family had it. We had it. So I'm not sitting up here on my pedestal. By any means, like we were, we've been as careful as we could have been. We have still had to take a couple of risks here and there. I'm working from home. My husband runs a small business that we're trying to keep alive. So we've had to take our own set of risk, and having, our son in daycare a couple of times a week, so we knew that was a risk, but we've still, even within that, have been tremendously careful. But with all that being said, we still got it. So, if you're doing it right, then, you won't be around people this holiday. So I'm not going back to Oklahoma. My family's not coming here. My mom just canceled her trip. My niece canceled her trip. And I'll tell you this, I just realized this last night on a very, very real human moment and level with you. I realized last night I was so stressed out, and I was like doing all this stuff, and I felt even more intense than ever. And I was like, you know what I'm doing? I'm trying to make it extra special because it's going to be so different. So I'm putting all these
little things.
I'm putting all this pressure on myself to make sure that it's perfect for Cody. Like, I'm getting him, he wants a Santa costume because he grew out of his other one. So I got that. And he loves inflatables. He loves driving around looking at Christmas time inflatables. So I got him a little Jack Skellington one. Like, all these little tiny things that I'm like, got to get the right, Christmas cookies for Santa. Like, hello, doesn't matter. Like, I'm stressing out. And then it hit me. Jay and I were talking, my husband, and he was like, why, what's going on? And I just sort of verbal diarrheaed. And when I did that, and I'm sure you've had this moment where you didn't even realize what was going on until it fell out of your mouth.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to do everything I can to make this a happy time, because I don't feel happy right now not being with my family. I just don't. It
I
sucks.
totally understand. Me too. I'm a family person. I'm a grandparents girl.
Yes, yes,
I hate that I'm not back there in the South with my family. I hate that I'm not going to be petting horses next week.
yes.
You know, like I absolutely hate that. And I miss them and I love them, and I'm blessed to have such a good family. But even in like the 12-step community, like I'm in, people are the same thing is happening. People are falling off left and right. There's all these expectations that like this should be happening and this should be happening. And usually on the holidays, we have what we call alkathon meetings that are 24/7.
Okay.
So it's like you're at your family's house. They're all getting wasted and fighting. You leave and there's a meeting every hour on the hour at your local fellowship place.
Fantastic.
But that's not, but now on the other side, like that's been happening all year, but it's been Zoom and it's not the same.
It's not the same.
So you can't go be with your fellowship. You can't go be around people. You have to do it via Zoom. And it's a totally different thing. I'm grateful it's there because it's better than nothing, but it's just a totally different thing.
I would imagine, I mean, obviously I've never been to, an AA meeting or an NA meeting, so I don't know exactly what happens, but I can imagine, I mean, Zoom takes the fellowship feelings out of it. Like, you and I used to see each other almost every day, and we haven't seen each other since obviously the beginning of the year. And it's so strange because you and I would always just wrap each other and hug and love on each other. We're both that way, again, Southern, and so you don't get that warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
It feels so much more formal, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
It really does.
Yeah.
It does. There's the lack of touch, the lack of actual human interaction. It's really hard. And people who are depressed need that.
Yeah.
They need somebody to bounce their crazy off of.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, that's what my sponsor is. I need somebody to get a gut check from. So
absolutely. I told Jay the other day, I said, I'm so grateful that I do have other humans in my home, because there are a lot of people that don't have, other bodies in their house to hold on to. And I'm a podcast nerd. I listen to podcasts all the time and audiobooks, and I love learning. So I have a lot of psychological kind of stuff that I listen to. And I learned that you don't get the serotonin boost out of a hug unless it lasts over 6 seconds. So we were in a hurry the other day. Jay was going to work and he kind of did the quick hug and like, got to go. And I was like, counting till 6. I was like,
hold on, 1, 2, 3.
He was like painful. I'm like, no, I need my 6 seconds. I really need my 6 seconds right now. It's ridiculous. So anyways, just acknowledging all of that, I think is part of the battle. Like once I said it out loud, now I can sort of go, okay, you know what? I'm trying to buy my happiness right now by buying all this crap and wrapping it up and thinking that will make it all better. And I know better than that. than that. And that's not what it's about anyway. So I'm stopping here. I'm stopping.
Because what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Number 2, you just kind of mentioned, reach out. If you're feeling lonely or isolated, look, reaching out is a different beast right now, I guess, if you will, but even just picking up your phone and real quick FaceTiming somebody, even if it's just for a few minutes, it really does help. Like that human interaction, even though it's not what we expect, I think it really does help. I will be honest, again, that's all I'm going to do on this podcast is be honest. It's all I ever do. I'm more of an introvert. So in some ways, I'm very much an extrovert in my career, in my job. I get all of that out on a microphone. But in my real life, I'm a Cancer, I'm a crab. I like to kind of tuck in the sand and be in my hole. And so in some ways I've thrived because I've been at home where I'm most happy and most comfortable and not out of place. But even for me, I'm starting to like itch and feel weird that I'm not going to like holiday parties and all of that stuff. So as far as reaching out, like, besides those meetings that are on Zoom, how do you feel like you're doing that?
How I'm reaching out? Mm-hmm. Well, for me, the best part is sponsoring other women in recovery.
Yeah.
That's where I get the most help is when they call me and they need help, because that is 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, however long it takes. That's time I'm not in my own head. That's time I'm not thinking about my own selfish stuff. It's time I'm not worried about me. So, I mean, and that's really like the crux of the program, I think, is help other people. And I mean, obviously you're not going to do it just because it helps you, but when you witness that and you get to experience that it is helping you to help them, it's a beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
That's a gift. That's like better than giving someone like a huge Christmas gift or whatever, when you're actually able to help them and walk them through something, and then you get to hear them feel relief and feel better. Like
Mhm.
it's good for everybody involved.
Can we just step through that real quick? Because I don't know exactly what that looks like. So when you are going to be a sponsor to someone, what are you signing up for with that?
Basically all you're really signing up for, like in terms of old school and how, you know, our literature goes, is you're just agreeing to walk them through the steps.
Got it.
There are some really hardcore sponsors that are like, I walked you through the steps, get lost, go sponsor somebody.
Oh, wow.
Not like that. Like, I'm still available because my sponsor's still available to me. So I'm still available to my sponsees whenever they want to call and check in or complain or tell me something's great or tell me something's awful. And then I have to remind them to get back into gratitude. And then it helps me because I probably wasn't thinking about gratitude at that moment.
Yes.
You know, like I was probably sitting there complaining, like, I haven't been to the gym in 6 months.
Yeah.
You know? And like, now I'm helping somebody be grateful, which is helping, then I better be grateful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's really smart. So it's really, you're signing up to be a dedicated friend to somebody.
Yeah, well, more like it's not really a guru or a life coach or even really a friend. It's hard. It's just, you're going to walk them through what you walked
The
through.
path you just walked down.
Exactly.
You've
Like,
walked down this path and you're reaching back and going, come with me.
here's what I did. Do that. Okay, move to the next step. Do that. Okay, move
Got
to the
it.
next step. Do, like that.
Okay, that makes sense. That's really incredible. I mean, just, not to be ignorant, but I just don't know, I've never
Well,
walked
yeah,
down that
doesn't
path.
make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 3, be realistic. I think you and I are anything. There's a million things you could say, but not realistic is not one of them. You and I are always like, we're living in realism all the time. I don't even know that we need to cover that, but I think it's good. When you're talking about like what to get people, realistically, I think for the bulk of us, I've been trying to tell myself this, like, we don't need a lot of stuff. And like you just said, what is more of a gift? Well, more of a gift right now is just the acknowledgement of somebody, what they're going through, or, just maybe not something physical, or even if it is physical, like more of like something homemade. I know that sounds really cheesy, but like leaving something on their doorstep instead of some huge gift that nobody really needs. I know like our family, we really need to focus on the kiddos. Like, to me, this whole holiday thing should be just about the kiddos.
Yeah, because it's going to be their first weird Christmas.
Yeah.
The Kristen is going to be their first really weird holiday where it's like, wait, where's everybody?
What's weird to me, funny you say that, is I feel like this may be the first holiday that Cody really remembers. And it's going to be like,
because he's what, 3 now?
He's 4.
Oh, 4? Oh,
maybe he'll remember last year's. Like, he remembers things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're developing his first real memories right now, at 4 years old. And so I'm like, oh my God, like some of his first memories are going to be the weird ones.
Yes, I know. But think about how much he'll appreciate Christmas next year.
Exactly. That's what I'm hoping.
He'll blow his mind next year.
He'll be like, what? We can go see family. We can travel. I know. Knock on wood. I hope that's all true. Number 4, set aside differences. Now, this one is really tricky because we're in an election year. We're in a really weird time politically. We had an election that isn't settled. I mean, as of today, it in theory should be settled. But I know in a lot of people's hearts in this country, it's still not. So if you are seeing people at the holidays, that could potentially cause a real problem, and differences too, not just politically, but also wearing a mask or not, how you're dealing with COVID, how you're not dealing with, all of that crap, because there's a lot of that. I mean, pop on Facebook for 4 seconds and you'll see it.
Oh my God. I know. Absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be really hard, I think, for everybody, but every year, even before COVID, the minute the table turned to politics, I'd get up and leave.
Yes. Right.
I'll go smoke a cigar outside with the guys, and I don't even like cigars. That's how much I hate talking about politics. At a dinner table with loved ones, it's like you're here with your family. These are your people. These are your loved ones. Why are you poisoning everything with politics? Like, I feel like it just has no place at the dinner table.
Yeah. It's funny. I used to love politics. Back when politics was somewhat normal and just simply
crazy.
Simply corrupt, not like like Civil War politics, more like, policy politics was always really interesting to me.
Right.
I paged at the Capitol in DC when I was in high school and college, and I loved all of that. I mean, that was very possibly a career path for me. But it's not fun anymore. It's just not. So like, I don't even I even go there. Like there's just 0 point. If somebody is so far down that road, the odds of me changing their mind are pretty minimal. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to know that, and I'm going to stop those conversations from happening, just like you said. And then we're going to move on. And then I can, think globally, act locally, and do things in my life and in my community that breed change in the way that I want to see it made. And that's all I can do.
And that's another thing I got from recovery too, was I'm powerless over people, places, and things.
Ooh.
Like I can't change you. I can't even change me unless I really want to.
Right. Oh, that's good.
Everything external, I'm powerless over. So there's no reason to argue about it or get all wound up in it. Like, how can I make this, fit me? You can't.
Yes.
You can't change stuff. Like that's like the first step. You're powerless. And it's really cool to just surrender and accept that.
Yeah, right. It just, the power in just saying F it because I can't do anything about it anyway.
Yeah.
Right. And just giving that up to, if you're religious and you believe, give it up to God or give it up to the universe or give it up to whatever, but it's not your problem anymore.
Yeah. Turn it over. Yeah.
I love that. There's so many, I need to study and learn more about the 12 steps, because there's so much value. And I have so many friends actually in recovery, which is amazing. I would love to dive in a little bit more, to really understand it. Let's see, stick to a budget. That sort of goes back to what I just said. Like I was a little over, I typically don't really overspend like crazy. My list is a little long because I have, my brother has 3 kids. My best friend, who is my sister, she has, her 2 step kids and 2 biological kids. So that's like, and then her mom lives with her. So that's 7 people. So there's a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
My list is pretty long. So I have to be realistic, going back to be realistic with a budget. But yeah, I mean, I think that's fairly basic, sticking to a budget. But I would like to just put out one thing within that budget, if you could make space for a charity, just giving back to others.
That's, and that's what we did one year. I forget why. There was one year we were in LA. We couldn't go back to the South and see my grandparents. I forget what was going on, but what we decided that year, instead of doing gifts, was we did Toys for Tots.
Yes.
I'm not even sure if it was exactly Toys for Tots, but it was something like that. It was something, maybe it wasn't Toys for Tots. It was something similar to that though, because we actually got the kid's name. So and I'll never forget this. My girl's name was Phoebe Edith.
Oh, that's so cool.
Phoebe Edith.
So cute.
Then, I got her whatever ridiculous Cabbage Patch doll was on fire at that time.
Yeah.
And it felt so good to know that some kid is getting that with a card from me.
Exactly.
That's what we said. We're not, you know what? If you want to get us a gift, go donate.
I think that's great. We do the very similar stuff. The firefighters here in the North Bay, we have the firefighter toy program. I don't know if they do that elsewhere, but same concept, Toys for Tots. But that's just really special because here I am, I try to really limit what we get for our son, because I just don't want it to go so berserker that it's ridiculous, so
nothing matters anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's
where you give him a laptop when he's 5 and he's like, I don't care.
I know, whatever. Just ripping open presents left and right. So our hard and fast rule is 4 presents from his parents, and then he gets a bigger present from Santa, and then the stocking. So that's what we do to just try to keep it in perspective, try to keep that budget. I didn't make this up. I found it on Pinterest years ago. But the 4 things is something you want, something you need, something to wear, and something to read. So along those lines, I try to fill in the blanks there. So it's a well-rounded list. And he gets it so far. Hopefully he won't hate me when he's a teenager.
No, I like that. I think that's really good. I would have actually loved that as a kid.
Right? I know. I think it's
actually really great because I love reading. Yeah, no, that's all perfect.
Yeah, I think it's good. And my mom does that as well. Planning ahead, setting aside specific days for shopping. This is where I've sort of fallen down, and I'm going to blame COVID, because we had COVID over Thanksgiving. We were out. It was as if I literally went to sleep, was in a coma. I wasn't. I'm not joking about that. I'm not making a joke of it, because I was not in a coma, but it was as if I was, because we were so out of it for 10 days. It was I literally lost 10 days of my life. It just vanished before me. I couldn't get in
bed the whole time.
In bed the whole time. And Jay and I had it at the same time. Cody had it first, and then Jay and I had it at the exact same time. And what's problematic about that is you have a 4-year-old that's now healthy and energetic, and you guys both are feeling like death on a ham sandwich. So who gets up? How do we do that? Right. So it was literally, okay, I feel like crap today. You feel a little bit better. I'm going to take the first nap and then we'll switch. And we did that on and off to get through it because nobody can come help us either.
Yeah, right.
You know, because Cody was over it technically, but he was still within his 10 days he had to be at home in isolation. So it was nuts. Anyways, all that to say, I didn't get jack crap done over the time that I usually get ready for Christmas. Thanksgiving, I do my shopping and all that kind of stuff, just like most people do. So I got so far behind. So here I am on whatever date it is, December 15th. And I'm like, ah! And again, why do we put this
do that?
Why do we put this pressure on ourselves? Like, it's ridiculous. I should just go back to you and just be like, is it happening? What are we? Is this December? I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, we could just act like, why don't we just make it December, in February, whenever COVID's gone?
I know. Just postpone it until the world comes back, at least. And once people start getting vaccines and whatnot, and we start at least maybe turning a corner, that would be nice. This is one that, number 7, learn to say no. That could deserve its own entire podcast. Yes. But I'm still learning. Here I am, at 39 years old, and I'm still learning how to say no. It's hard for me. I've done a lot of soul searching about it because I am a recovering people pleaser. So saying no is hard. Is it hard for you? Easy for you? How do you feel about that one?
I think it's pretty easy for me.
You've been through a lot of BS in your life.
Yeah, so I've been through a lot of BS in my life. It's easy for me if I get invited to, some family or friends of family and it's going to be like booze fest.
Yeah.
I've been really adamant about no. And you can't give me a guilt trip because no, it took me 20 years to get 5 years sober. I'm not going to mess with it.
Exactly.
And I didn't get sober to hang out with wasted people.
Well, and if they don't respect that, why are they in your life? That's kind of the way I see it.
And on occasion, I don't care. I have a lot of friends who drink and they drink around me and it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
But if it's a whole house party based on booze, I just don't need to be there. It's just annoying.
What are you going to get out of that?
It's just people slurring and repeating themselves. And you're like, I'm
No.
That. Yeah.
You have a
thing. No.
Yeah. You have a great reason to say no, and good on you for saying it and sticking to your hard line in the sand, because that's how you've remained sober for 5 years now.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that's not an easy thing to do. And if anybody gives you a guilt trip about that, they're a-holes. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
I know.
That's ridiculous.
Somebody told me once, when I first got sober, I was complaining that I had to go to this 4th of July party thing and that people were going to be drinking and how dare they? And I only had 3 months, and this woman in the program said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go there and you're going to bring everything you've got for 30 minutes. You are going to make everybody happy. You're going to bring all the fun and then you're going to leave. And I did. And it was amazing.
Question. Let's unpack that.
Yeah.
Do you make that announcement? Are you like,
no.
Okay. Or do you ghost everyone? Not like an announcement. That was a dramatic question, but do you let people know, I'm only going to stay half an hour? Or do you sort of just Homer Simpson it back into the bush and you leave and nobody knows you left? Cause I do that.
Yes, that's exactly what I do. That's exactly what I do. Somebody told me it was called an Irish goodbye. I didn't know that till not too long ago, where you just kind of duck, you're there, you're part of the party, and then you just kind of duck out.
And then it's where'd Chasta go? Where'd Dayna go? Right. Where did that? I swear I just saw her, right? Yeah.
Right. But then they're all drinking and who cares?
And they get over it in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm like that too, not because of the recovery aspect, because of my introvert issue. And I know people probably think I'm insane because I talk to, a few 100,000 people on the radio every day, but it's true. I get very exhausted in social circles. And so if I really overdo it, if I stay up really late and I'm Mrs. Party for hours or whatever, it'll take me 3 days to recover from that. And again, I'm not talking about a hangover. I could only have 1 beer. I'm just talking about the exertion, the social exertion, that whatever that is that introverts deal with. I wish I knew the medical term. I don't. So I have to put limits on myself for that, because I'm I can't feel completely out of it for the next couple of days because I'm drained, So I love that rule. It's go in, guns blazing, get all you got for half an hour and then call it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then you showed up, you were a part of, you weren't begrudgingly there, like, oh, this sucks.
Right.
No, you're there and you're giving of yourself, and yeah, you did what you could.
Yeah, because it's not like you don't want to see the people that you love, you know,
Oh yeah, of course you do.
even if they're drunk or whatever, like you love people, you want to see them, you want to be with them, but we all have our certain bag of crap we pull around, right? And yours is recovery, mine is my issue, and everybody has that. So it's like, all right, how do I marry those two ideas? I want to see the people that I love. I want to be around them in whatever capacity that is. Obviously, we're talking about parties, which aren't happening right now, but you get the idea.
I hope not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But, you know, dealing with your limitations within your personality, and marrying that with people that you love. I love that rule. I love it. This is our favorite. Number 8, don't abandon healthy habits. You and I are by and large healthy people.
Yeah.
We work out. We try to eat right. We try to take care of ourselves. We bond over that. You know, do all the things that you know you're supposed to do. You know, get plenty of sleep. Don't just go overboard on sweets and cheese and drinking and all of that stuff. I mean, you know, things in moderation. It's the holidays. You want to celebrate. But just diving off of a diving board into a pool of cheese, talking to myself here, is not the way to go.
Well, I know. Like, yeah, you keep drinking that eggnog, it's going to show in your ass.
Exactly.
You're going to have eggnog thighs. If you know, it's the holidays. I'm going to have eggnog every day. Because don't get me wrong, I love Bud's eggnog, which unfortunately you can only get in the Bay Area. I've looked everywhere.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's driving me nuts. Bud's is the best. It's funny. I didn't really think it. I've never thought of eggnog as a boozy drink, because I would just drink booze if I wanted booze. I wouldn't put it, like in
my
like
waste calories on eggnog. Yeah,
which is what eggnog is basically.
Right.
High mix.
Yeah.
But I do like plain eggnog. Sometimes I like to just put it in my coffee.
Yeah.
Bud's eggnog, and I can't find that anymore. But like just a little bit of it. Like
Oh,
the other night, my husband drank like a tank of it.
yeah. See,
Like,
and
that's so not good.
but in moderation, you know, like I have, like the other night I had a sweet tooth, which I don't have ever. But you know, girl issues once a month. And so I had a sweet tooth and I was like, oh, I want something. And I found this little tiny caramel in our Halloween candy that we haven't gotten rid of yet. And I was like, that'll do it. And so I had just a little piece and I slowly ate it and it was just enough. You know, and I don't want people to stress out and feel so guilty about indulging a little bit, but just, you know, don't go overboard, because all of that crap really, really is a lasting thing. Like you don't want to turn around and be like, oh God, I just completely went into a pool of cheese and now I'm, you know, I got 15 pounds on top of everything else I'm dealing with right now.
Right.
I feel like
And
crap.
to come back from that.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
Like it takes effort to come back from that.
A lot of effort. You put it on so fast and to get it off is such a mountain of work. It's just not worth it.
It's totally not.
Oh my God. You and I work out so much, like I'll be running and I'll get done running and it'll be like, you know, 350 calories or whatever. And I'm like, that's like one of my favorite IPAs. Like that's a beer I just ran off like beer. Like what the
Funny. When I look at my watch and it tells me like how many calories, and that is my first thought is what food is that?
What did I just eat?
Like, wait, what do I get to eat for free? 350 calories. You know, like that's the first thing I think is what can I spend that on?
Totally. And that's why sometimes I'm like, oh God, it's just not worth it. Like this caloric intake, I have to go run 5 miles for that. Like, forget it. It's not worth it.
Yeah, that's too much.
I always have that in my head. Number 9, take a breather. I think this is super, super smart. It kind of goes with what you actually were saying on Soundwave's Christmas too. You had mentioned your 30-minute rule of going to a party. Like, you know, if you are around family that you live with or not, maybe it's your husband or your partner or whoever, and you need a minute, like take a breather, of course, you know, with a mask on, but go outside, go for a walk. If you're going to be around somebody, be smart about it, but just walk. Like I'm a big runner. I love running, and it is mostly for mental therapy. That's where I work all my crazy out, you know, and it's so, so good for you. Those endorphins are so incredibly important.
Oh, me too. When I first got sober, I was literally mandated to walk, or not to walk, but to exercise for 45 minutes every day without fail. And that's kind of what helped my liver. And then the last time I talked to you, I was having liver issues. I just got my blood panels back and it's fine.
Hallelujah. I love how casual you are about it. Like it was like, we were headed down path of cirrhosis of the liver last time we talked.
I was so terrified because how do you get bad liver panels after 5 years of sobriety? But your liver likes to heal itself. So if you're doing the right things, you know, and I was actually told to drink 2 cups of coffee for my liver
Really?
Coffee. Yeah, I know. I have no idea why, but a hematologist said to do that. I don't really like coffee that much anymore, though.
Yeah.
A kombucha water person.
Same.
Iced tea.
Yeah.
Hot tea. But yeah, like no, it's super important to do that.
Wow, that is really amazing. Yeah, moving your body. I mean, also, you know,
Yeah.
if I always like to make sure that I'm respectful and inclusive. If you're not able to move your body, you are still able to take a breather. You know, you can still meditate, you can read a book, whatever you can do to just sort of give yourself space and grace, for that matter. Because I'm all about that. I write in my gratitude journal every day, I give myself grace, as a reminder to freaking give yourself grace, you know, because sometimes you just need a reminder of that.
Yep. You give
That's
yourself a pause.
Yep.
We're all owed a pause. Yeah. You can walk out of a party for a while and stand outside and breathe.
Yeah.
Or go to the bathroom. Like I've heard people talk about like being at bars in early recovery and literally going to the bathroom and getting on their knees and praying.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
don't do that during COVID. Don't go to a bar during COVID.
Yeah. Or get on a bathroom floor, for that matter.
Floor. Right. But if it were a few years ago, that would be the call. Just get down and pray on the bathroom floor. Who cares what people think?
Absolutely. Yes. Amen to that. I've learned a lot about not caring what people think in the last, you know, the older you get, though, that sort of takes care of itself. For me, at least, the older I get, the less I care.
Totally. Me too. I know. Right? I know so many like younger women in recovery and we'll be out and somebody will offer them a drink and they're like, oh, I'm not drinking tonight. Or I'm on antibiotics or something. And I'll straight go, yeah, I'd love a drink, but then I'll be smoking crack with hookers at 2:00. I'd rather not. For me, I'm just like permanent TMI. Like I'll just blurt it out.
That is exactly why I love you so much, because I'll never forget the first time we had a conversation about drinking. It may have been that I was having a drink around you at like a holiday party or something. And I may have said that because I always am like, I want to be respectful, you know, not just to you, but I have other friends in recovery and I've always, you know, been concerned about having a drink or whatever in front of them. And you were like, yeah, I'm not interested in your little beer. I'm looking for heroin. So we're good. I'm like, okay, fair enough.
Exactly. Like, yeah, like if just being around it would make me do it, God, I'd be on scary ground right there.
That would be a much darker place. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how I would even be hanging on. Yeah, no, it's like I work through it. So it's like I can be around it. It doesn't bother me.
Right.
But it's always so polite and respectful when people ask. I always appreciate it.
Yeah. I just want to make sure because, you know, it's territory that I haven't been into. So I don't know exactly how it is. You know, I've learned a lot from my ex-husband is a recovering alcoholic and he and I are still friends. I've told you about him before. He also has a recovery podcast. But he, you know, he's taught me a lot about that too. Just cause I didn't know, like, there's so much I didn't know, you know, and he was very young whenever we got divorced. We were both very young. So he didn't know it either, you know, and it takes so long for him in recovery and just as you age to learn all these nuances about yourself and about others and how to treat people, you know, just how to be fair to others that are going through something that you can't understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, all right. Number 10, we need we need a drummer. Hello.
Where is he? Is he in your house?
I know. He's just on the other side of that door, I'm sure. Seek professional help if you need it. In all seriousness, absolutely. You know, as I started out this podcast by saying, depression, stress, anxiety, suicidal thoughts are of the utmost importance and they deserve the utmost respect. And I will say, you know, what's really come out of COVID that's been interesting to me is all of these therapy apps. Like there's all kinds of different ways now that you can get therapy, which is so cool.
Telehealth,
like amazing. I mean, it's incredible. I'll put in the show notes a list of, and I've actually listed them in show notes before because I've talked about boundaries and stress and anxiety on this podcast before, but I'll make sure in the show notes that I put some there that you can click on and see what might work for you. But it really is incredibly easy these days to get help. So make sure that if you really feel like you're at a position where you're, you know, beyond what you can do for yourself or the people around you can do for you, make sure that you reach out to a professional because it's incredibly important. So,
and don't feel bad about it. Don't be embarrassed.
Yes. Amen to that. I just, you know, I think that's such a powerful note to end on, you know, you talking about not caring about what people think, because what I've learned, Dayna, is like to me, it's not giving people power over you, you know?
Exactly.
Right? Like holding on to your own personal power. And like you so brilliantly said, there's a lot that you cannot control, right?
Mm.
But one of the things you can always control is the way that you react to a situation, or
Yep.
the way that you react to a person, or whether or not you let their BS, their negativity into your heart and into your life. That's up to you.
Right.
And
You don't have to let somebody rent space in your head.
it's exactly. Oh, you're so good. You're so good. You should have a podcast about recovery. I mean, it's serious.
I hadn't thought of that.
It's so well said and so true. I think it's very easy to let people rub off on you, and social media, again, I've done a whole podcast about social media. Social media for me got to a pretty dark place earlier this year, where it was really affecting me, because sometimes it's the first thing you look at when you wake up in the morning and the last thing you look at before you go to bed. And that was like getting to me. So
Yeah.
I do purges now of social media, and I very firmly think about social media as a person in my life, because there's that saying that you are the 5 people that you hang out with most. Well, we hang out on social media a lot, so I consider that one of the 5 people in my life that I hang out with the most. What am I getting out of that? Am I getting negativity, awfulness, stress, anxiety, or have I curated it in a way that I'm following people that it actually brings something good into my life,
Right. Or for me, it's comparison with social media.
Mm.
That's why I got, like, when I'm sitting there going, well, why did they get that? But my life sucks. Like,
So
I
good.
start comparing myself to people. That's when it gets dangerous for me, because you don't know what's really going on with them. First of all, people present themselves how they want to appear. Like, you have no idea how
Right.
hurt they are in the inside or what's really going on.
We know in our hearts and our souls, we know that it's a highlight reel. What's happening on social media, it's a highlight reel that people are, hopefully, I don't want to see your worst, most terrible fights with your lover. Like, I don't want to know those things. When people actually do post all that stuff, I get so uncomfortable, because I'm like a no drama mama. I can't handle it.
Oh, people post actual fights? I was going to say that'd be funny. I was going to do that instead of posting the perfect marriage pictures. I post us fighting. But if people really do that, forget it. Wow.
Oh, serious. I mean, I've had people that on Facebook is like the home for the drama. I've had, people that I know on Facebook that'll post like the most intimate moments with their family and stuff. And I'm like, that is not like, you have to think about social media. I'm going off on a tangent here, but I think it's important. You have to think about social media as like, if you have 2,000 friends, let's say on Facebook, that's like you walking into a room of 2,000 people and screaming out your problems. Like, think about what you're putting out into the world. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing.
Absolutely.
It feels different because you're typing it into a screen, but the idea is the same, that all those people now have access to know your inner workings and the darkest parts of your relationship or your whatever. Like, it's amazing what people will post.
Exactly. I know. And then once their fight is over with your significant other or whatever you're posting and you're back to loving them, now all your friends hate the person.
Exactly.
Well, like, just don't drag them into it. It's so ridiculous.
That is exactly right. So I would definitely add to that list of tips to just be careful with social media over the holidays. You know what?
Diary.
Use it. Yeah. Use it when it's good. And then when you start getting bad vibes off of it, just back right off, purge it, be done with it, put it down, whatever, because it really can mess with you in a lot of different ways, obviously.
Yes. Like, whatever you want to post, write it down on a piece of paper and then go in your driveway and burn it. Release this energy into the universe.
Oh, that's how.
Don't put it on Facebook where it's stuck.
Exactly. That's exactly how I'm going to end this year. It's funny that you brought that up, Dayna. I'm going to write down some of the harder parts of this year, and I'm going to burn them in the fire pit. Like, it's going to be right? It's going to be a celebratory thing for New Year's. Like, we can't do anything for New Year's, but I want to sort of exercise, as in exorcise this year, get it done, purge it, whatever. And I feel like fire is very helpful.
It's going to be cathartic. Yeah. Cause then you just go, the smoke just goes into the ether and it's gone.
Yeah. And you can just be done with it. Now, I have to say, because we're in California where we have so many fires, please be careful. Know what you're doing.
Do it in the driveway.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. But that's how I'm going to exercise this damn year, because we need to be done with it and move on.
Mm-hmm. Man. And burn it in the sink. You can burn it in the sink.
There you go. Yeah, light it up and then put water on it really quick.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Dayna, thank you so much for being with me today. I love you so much, and you are so full of wisdom. I mean,
Oh,
truly.
thank you.
Everything that you know, you've been through a lot of dark stuff in your life. You know, and I actually, you know what I'll do too, in case people want to know, I will obviously post the links to Radio Rehab. I want to make sure everybody knows that that's there to listen to because it's so fantastic. But also the interview you did with me on Soundwaves, not Soundwaves Christmas, Soundwaves, the regular episode from a couple years ago where you told the whole story, because that story in itself, you know, that was like a good 20-minute conversation just about, you know, your life story. It's so impactful. And you've been through it, and people need to know if they're going through it, they're not alone.
That's the whole reason I'm alive, I'm pretty sure. It's just to let other people know they can walk through it too.
That is your purpose. I love that. That's so great. So true. All right, sweetheart. Well, happy holidays or whatever month it is.
I know, right? Seriously.
I love you for that.
I don't even know.
I love you so much, and we will definitely talk soon, all right?
Okay, absolutely.
Mwah.
Mwah.